Located just outside of Athol, Idaho, is one of my favorite amusement parks ever, known as Silverwood. I love this park because honestly it has a perfect collection of roller coasters and rides, and included in your admission to the park you actually get access to their water park, unlike most other places which make you pay extra if you want to visit their water parks. This amusement park has been family owned and operated ever since it first opened in the 80s, and since then they've added 5 major roller coasters to their roller coaster lineup, and honestly these 5 are a great collection of coasters. So today let's count down the top 5 best roller coasters at Silverwood and what makes these roller coasters awesome and why you should ride them on your next trip to Silverwood. So coming in at number 5, we've got the oldest roller coaster at Silverwood, which is also one of the first roller coasters of its kind. We've got Corkscrew. This roller coaster is an aerodynamics corkscrew model, and this was the first ever modern day inverted coaster that originally opened at Knott's Berry Farm. Whenever I make a ranking of the rides at Silverwood, this one usually falls more to the end of a list because overall it's a good coaster, but it has a pretty simple layout. You basically just go up a chain lift, down one drop, and then you go into their iconic double corkscrew, and then the ride is over. So this coaster, even though it has a smaller layout, it's definitely a fun one, and I'd recommend sitting in the back seat if you can, because sitting in the back seat going over that first drop, it just feels so much more intense and it's so much more fun. So great coaster and definitely a fun one to start off the list. Moving on now to number 4, it's time to check out one of the park's wooden coasters. This coaster right here is Timber Terror. This coaster is a CCI wooden coaster that was actually designed by the park's founder Gary Norton and opened back in 1996. The coaster is located right along the side of the highway, so when you pull up into the parking lot, this coaster is the very first thing you see. The overall ride experience on this is very awesome, and it's definitely a lesser intense version of their other wooden coaster, Tremors, and features a bunch of little hills and drops over the ride that gives off a lot of good airtime. The coaster features a very nice out and back layout, so going on this you can actually get a pretty good view of Coaster Alley and some of the rest of the park. Like the last coaster, a backseat ride on this is also really awesome, as you can really feel that first drop way more than people in the front. So this coaster is another awesome one and one you can't miss at Silverwood. Moving on to number 3, it's time to check out the park's other wooden coaster known as Tremors. This coaster, just like its brother Timber Terror, was made by CCI, and the design was made by the park founder Gary Norton. This ride has some awesome theming, where in the gift shop and the queue for the ride, it's supposed to be themed to an earthquake. It looks like the buildings around you are about to collapse. The ride goes through 4 different underground tunnels, which is such an awesome part of the ride as it offers a great head chopper effect. Even though this ride may be slightly slower than Timber Terror, it does still feel way more intense than Timber Terror, featuring a lot of great elements to the ride. And for this coaster to have the best ride possible, always aim for the back seat as you can really feel that first drop, and it's just way more intense in the back. So this coaster is definitely a fun one and one you can't miss at Silverwood. Moving on now to number 2, we'll be checking out one of my favorite roller coasters of all time. This is Aftershock. This coaster is an inverted boomerang model which was moved from Six Flags Great America to Silverwood in 2008 and features the same earthquake theming as the ride beside it, Tremors. This coaster is definitely the park's tallest, standing almost 200 feet tall, and is probably one of the most intense rides at the park too. The ride features 2 giant spikes which are the lift hills for the ride, and throughout the whole layout you'll go through the station, through a cobra roll, through a loop, and then it'll be sent back through the whole layout again. For the best experience possible on this ride, I'd recommend sitting in the front seat and specifically in one of the middle 2 seats on the ride. Here you'll get the best view and the best ride experience possible on this ride. So even though on some days you may have to wait longer to get in the actual front seat, it's definitely worth it and you'll get the best experience possible on this ride. And now moving on to number 1, it's time to talk about the best roller coaster at Silverwood, which was recently added just a couple years ago. This coaster is Stunt Pilot, and this theme is awesome. This coaster is a newer model of coaster known as a single rail coaster, and is made by RMC, which is actually a company that's located just down the road from Silverwood, and actually has close connections with Silverwood. This ride being so new means it has a really smooth ride layout, and the loading process for this ride is way faster than all the other coasters in the park. The layout of this ride is filled with some of the best inversions ever. They all just flow so smoothly, and it's just so much fun going through them. And also, when you're going on this coaster, it's just so fast. You just go over that first drop, and in the blink of an eye, it feels like you've reached the brake runs. Also love the theming they've added to this coaster. It looks very beautiful, and the color scheme is so awesome. So this coaster is by far the best one at Silverwood, and is one that you have to get on at least 5 times when you're at Silverwood. And for the best experience on this, I'd say any seat on this is a good one, but if you want a slightly less intense version, the front seat's a good one, and if you want a slightly more intense version, the back seat's better. And with all that said, that's it for today's ranking video, everyone. Hopefully you did enjoy checking out all the awesome coasters of Silverwood and which one is the best at the park. I love how Silverwood has decided which coasters to add to their park because each coaster is a really awesome one, and I wouldn't say that any coaster at the park is a bad one. And all the other rides they have at this park too, like the log flume, the drop tower, spin cycle, and all the rides at the water park too, is just an awesome park and one that I can't wait to visit again. So yeah, that's it. I'll see y'all next time. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye.